And now, your weather authority.
Well, welcome back, South Mississippi. Looking towards the north here from the Scarlet Pearl Casino and Resort, we can see lots of blue. Still got those clouds coming. I mentioned all week long as these fronts came in, they didn't have a lot of moisture to work with, not a lot of depth, and that's about the depth that you're working with right there. So those clouds are still coming, but before they got here, they were supposed to be a bit thicker with this front right on top of us, essentially. We've warmed up a little bit more than expected, basically into those upper 70s already with some 80s, not all that far away. And it is still winter. It is February, though hedging towards late February. You know, spring's not just but a little bit more than a month away, but it certainly shouldn't be 80 degrees right now. But let's take a look at what that front is bringing. It didn't bring much in the way of rain yesterday. As we take a look at rainfall for the last 24 hours, none of the reporting sites ended up with anything. Mobile got just over 1/10 of an inch there, but you do see at least a few spots where sprinkles were possible. And these all right here on the coastline south of Ocean Springs and Pascagoula, those are all happening right now as we're just now starting to see those little blips kind of crossing that area. So starting to see some potential to get trace amounts, but even looking at what the forecast is for today, it's looking pretty sparse, at least now. We'd have to end up seeing a lot more happen to even average about this much, which is just about 1/100th of an inch, some trace amounts there. But it is coming in. You can see at least some cooling on the backside where that front is as it approaches us here, but we're still on the warm side of it, so still warming up sharply, about 10 degrees warmer than we were by this time yesterday, which does put us into the 80s in many locations as we take a look at that temperature out there, with Gulfport and Biloxi being on the low end of things, two of the coolest cities in South Mississippi right now, with everybody else already up over those 80s. So again, a couple of degrees warmer than I already expected it to be, which had it up into the upper 70s already. So likely to hit 80 before we start trending the other direction, with those clouds finally starting to build in. Still expecting those spotty showers. We have had at least a couple of those with areas of dense fog earlier this morning and lingering a bit on the coastline at least, and likely to return as we head into tomorrow if those winds aren't too strong, and they're not looking like they will be. Still otherwise foggy and warm, and still with some more mist than hit showers out there expected through the night, only popping up more consistently as we head into about the lunchtime hours of tomorrow, when we get the last of the three fronts that we were going to see in just about 3.5 days since Wednesday. So here's the one right now. You can see the moisture pulling in. You can see how spotty any of that activity is and largely being pushed off towards the east of us, but we will undoubtedly get that measurable rain to move in. Just not a whole lot of cloud cover in the meantime in this little dry slot here, which helped us warm up pretty nicely. But this cloud cover is coming in, especially once we end up in the warm sector of this next approaching front, which brings more light but more consistent activity as we head into tomorrow afternoon. We'll see that stay with us for a little bit there and then largely miss us once we start heading into Sunday. And that's when you see those blue streamlines start to stretch out, and that's when things will finally feel a lot more seasonal. I used the term winter weather earlier, which should have just said more winter-like conditions, because winter weather is a long way away from when we're in the mid 80s right now. So as we take a look at what's happening, we will see some winter-like days coming up as we head into next week, dropping us all the way down into the 50s with a couple of frosty mornings.